We have all gone through or heard the journey of the major technology milestones. It was mainframe to begin with. That gave way to client server. Then came the web-based technologies. Web gave way to mobile. From mobile, we have a transition to cloud. And from cloud, we have Internet of Things. And we have heard that numerous times that security has always been playing that catch-up game. I think now is the opportunity for us to change that. And I'm going to talk about that later, so please bear with me. Now, there is a different perspective, the perspective of business leaders or technology leaders. And Cisco conducted a survey of some of the top-notch business executives or technology executives last year, and 71% of them came back and say that they don't have confidence that the cybersecurity is positioned to support their innovation drive. To be more specific, they mentioned that they don't think that their organizations, the cyber teams, they've got a strategy in place that can really support their forward-leaning initiatives. So let's first understand where cybersecurity is today. I don't know where it started, who started, but for the longest time, it was used as a synonym for information security. Not anymore. Cybersecurity is supporting your IT, OT, and physical security, and it's not just about defense, it's a combination of defense and offense. It's also interesting to see the evolution over the attributes. We all are aware of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, but what we have today is safety, thanks to the Internet of Things. We have resiliency, the fact that you won't be able to stop every attack, but what is important is to detect and rebound back without causing much damage. And finally, you have privacy, thanks to the consumers who are really aware of their rights, and also regulations like GDPR, which are pretty comprehensive. So what are the challenges to your cybersecurity program? I've listed some of them. We heard some of them before. Innovation and automation are the interesting candidates because while they are the challenges, they are also the enablers. And we are going to talk about that later. But I want to pick complexity here. It's about that IT mentality of acquiring generation and generations of technologies, layers and layers of technologies, and never, ever getting rid of them. It has been the bane of IT, and it's about time that we think differently. Later in this afternoon, I'm talking at the cloud conference, and I'm talking about how you gain efficiencies in policy management in cloud because you're dealing with that standardized workloads. So the more complex your technology landscape is, the more threats and risks exposure you have, and you have to deal with that. So back to the survey that Cisco did last year, the sentiments of business and technology leaders, where a majority of them mentioned that they don't have faith that the cybersecurity strategy is really positioned to support their innovative drives. And I agree with them. A lot of times when I'm talking to my peers, how we are framing the cybersecurity strategy, it's about reading a lot of stuff. It's about getting in touch with a lot of advisory and consulting firms, having a lot of good intel and understanding from them. It's also about listening to a lot of vendors, and that's a good thing. And fortunately, we belong to a community where there is a fair amount of peer-to-peer collaboration. We all understand that it is, it's important for us to share that information. But when you're talking about supporting the innovative drive of your bank that is going to shape up the future of your bank in the next 5 years, when you're talking about investing millions of dollars, you've got to have a game plan that's better than all of that. And that's where the BICT framework kicks in. This is an elaborate framework. There's a separate talk that I gave, which is about a 45-minute session, and I'll be happy to share those details with you later on. But for now, a very high-level view of this framework is It's a framework that my strategy teams use. In a nutshell, when we are taking any cybersecurity initiative, we see how that initiative is aligned to one or more of these attributes listed here. I'll start with business alignment. So if we are introducing a cybersecurity initiative, we try to understand, is that going to bring in some efficiency? Is that going to save some cost? Is that, at the minimum, going to enhance the user experience for our customers? Or, at the minimum, is it going to enable a new business model? The next is industry benchmark. All of us go through maturity assessment exercises. In some areas, we do better than the industry average, and in some areas, there are opportunities to improvement. And it's about that. Can my new cybersecurity strategy, the new initiatives that I'm driving in, can it fill that gap on the maturity scale? Compliance, regulation, and regulatory obligation is an important part of what we do. And it's about understanding if I'm driving a new initiative, can that address a regulatory gap? Or can that address one of the self-identified issues in my risk register? And finally, threat management. It's not about looking into that 40,000 threats that are all out there in the last 10 years, but it's about understanding what are the latest and greatest adversaries that my organization is really fighting with. And it's about understanding if I come out with a new cybersecurity initiative, how am I going to manage or deal with some of those adversaries? So we went through the top layer. I'm going to quickly go through the middle and the bottom layer. Starting with business alignment, in the middle layer you have business trends. Now, when you talk to your heads of lines of businesses, you will notice that cloud, mobile, advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, these technologies are going to dominate some of your business initiatives that are in pipeline. And I'm talking about initiatives that are going to span millions of dollars. But it's interesting to understand the business trends. And I'm talking about initiatives that have got technologies like Internet of Things, robotics and automation. We all heard about APIs and the role that APIs are going to play in everything that we are trying to do. We are in this world of micro everything, micro segmentation, microservices, and API is going to play a massive role in that. Now, these business trends might not show up in those top 10 initiatives, but it's about time that we start thinking and getting ready to support those technologies. Budget, staff will always be a challenge, but assuming that you have got a blank check from your board, and assuming that you've got a team that is incredibly motivated to deliver whatever you want to deliver, time is always going to be a constraint because there is only so much change that you can push in a given amount of time. And finally, the bottom layer. It's about understanding the shift in the business model. We all know about that shift in the retail sector. We all know in the media. But, financial sector is also experimenting with a lot of things. Economic disruption is about when there is a next slowdown, your budgets will be slashed by 20, 25%, 30%. So do you have a plan B where you can pretty much drive what you wanted to accomplish with that reduced budget? I like the next one, which is industry disruption. Now, earlier this year, one of the top industry executives was asked this question: what are you really afraid of? And his answer was, I'm afraid of that unknown. I already know what's out there. I know my competition today. I've got a game plan to deal with that. But it's that unknown, that next wave of disruptors, the next wave of Airbnbs and Ubers that I'm really worried about, and that's what I want to watch. So, this one lists some of the business priorities of the financial sector. User experience and new business models are pushing your digitalization drive. Banks are in the business of launching new services, getting into new territories. Mergers and acquisition is part of our business model. And so One Bank is about offering that best platform to all your customers across the board. We heard about payment and the revolution in the payment industry, thanks to all the innovation and advancement that's going on in technology. And finally, DevOps is an output of time to market as well as user experience. So in the beginning, I said that we have played the catch-up game forever, but this might be our opportunity to really level set and do something different. On the left-hand side, you have pretty much all the technologies that are going to dominate your business and business initiatives in the next 5 to 10 years. In the middle is that high-level stratosphere view of how your security teams can provide assurance to these technologies who are supporting your futuristic business model. But the interesting part is the one on the right-hand side. It's about how these technologies are going to work with you and your teams in providing some of that assurance, in helping protect the new business initiatives, in helping protect all that new innovation that is going on. And that's the interesting thing that is going on right now. So I'm going to look at all the technologies. My team is going to master all those technologies. We are going to have an incredible team. We are going to train them and coach them. The question is that going to bring in that innovation in my program that will really provide assurance, or that will be really support the new innovative business models? I wish there was a silver bullet or there was a specific formula like the last one mentioned, you have to be better than average to support innovation. And there is none. So I'll quote a few examples. Earlier this day, I saw Karen Elazari, and in one of her TED Talks, she mentioned that it's time that we embrace hackers. And we all understand the role that red team, ethical hackers, penetration testers, bug bounty hunters, they all play in our in supporting our security initiatives. One of the TED Talk members talked about, predictive modeling. And predictive modeling cannot be just done on the historical numbers. It's about understanding that brand new, and that brand new could be a new technology, it could be a new process. And finally, my take on innovation. I'm a big fan of processes that are really mature, repeatable, that are flawless, that allows you to do the same task more efficiently every time you execute them. But that's about processes. You cannot superimpose that ideas on your people, because if you do that, you're going to kill that innovation. That's all. Thank you.